to the news.
Welcome to News Tonight. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Legislators to change their mindset and support UBC, that is Uganda's national broadcaster, to play their role as the country's mouthpiece. While presenting a report of the Committee on ICT and National Guidance on the National Budget Framework Paper for the Digital Transformation Program, financial year 2023-24, 2027-28, in the Budget Committee of Parliament, Nabeta said UBC needs to be put in a different playing field from the private broadcasters.
Members of Parliament have been called upon to support Uganda Broadcasting Corporation adequately so that it can effectively perform its duties. UBC has since its inception in 2007 decried of poor funding, with the corporation leadership and the mother ministry always lobbying Parliament and government to increase funds allocated to the national broadcaster. The Appropriation Act gives Parliament powers to decide which agency of government, ministry, department and local government will receive which amount of money each financial year. The Vice Chairperson of the ICT Committee of Parliament and also Jinja South Legislator Nathan Nabeta says UBC should be looked at positively, saying public broadcasters worldwide are funded 100% by their governments.
This is maybe one of the issues we need to look at in terms of mindset change. But just to ourselves, what is the relevance of UBC? Because some of us may look at the UBC as a liability, but in actuality, I mean, for example, let's take an example of BBC of UK. BBC exists, whether it's a Labour government, Conservative government, it doesn't matter who comes in together. BBC continues. BBC gets money from a license fee. Everyone who watches the TV in the UK pays a license fee. That is the funding that goes to BBC. We need to look at, and that's why BBC doesn't go into advertising, doesn't go into like Vision does. Like Vision, and no, the UBC is because we have not funded it. So they are trying to go into a sector, they are trying to go into advertising, which they shouldn't. So one of the things we're saying is that we need to fundamentally actually understand what role is UBC supposed to play and how can UBC be financed so that they don't go into these issues of competing for Coca-Cola adverts.
The ICT Committee, while presenting to the Budget Committee the National Budget Framework Paper for the Digital Transformation Program financial year 2023-24, 2027-28, that consists of votes for Ministry of Information, Communication Technology, National Information Technology Authority Uganda, and non-vote agencies that include UCC, UBC, Uganda Posts Limited, UICT, Media Center, Media Council, and Vision Group, further recommended that government allocate 66.6 billion to UBC to expand the digital transformation program, 13.47 billion for the public sector transformation, and 6.523 billion for enhancement of the wage bill. The budget framework paper also indicates that UBC for the last 2 financial years, including current financial year 2022-2023, has areas of 87 billion shillings accruing from legal compensation claims, staff gratuity, NSSF, URA, UMEME, UCC, satellite services, national water, NITAU, and KCCA.
Is that when they created it in 2004, remember it was UTV. When they created it in 2004, it acquired all the problems, all the areas. Most of the things, actually, the areas and all the issues you see most of here are from the UTV side, from the UTV days. They've never given UBC money. The 20 billion they allocated only once, but only 12 was released. Even the 20 billion, and it was staggered to a level that they were never able to do what they originally wanted to do. So there is no loan, nothing has ever been approved for UBC to be able to help them to remove all the areas.
Some legislators say UBC needs to be supported to get a vote code since it has several challenges, yet it is a national broadcaster for government communication and national guidance. While others say UBC is a parastatal whose management is an executive decision.
It provides a public good for which we cannot expect it to recoup all its operational costs and investments from its levies. In the BBC, for example, is funded through taxes where you pay license fees. If we could give UBC the opportunity to raise revenue through license fees, then we would not have to create a vote.
But when my brother, Honorable Semujo, comes to government and he decides that he does not need the UBC to propagate government policies to the citizens, then he can shut it down. But in the meantime, if it is a government choice that UBC, New Vision, and any other radio stations under UBC continue to function, then as Parliament, we should fund it.
Nathan Nabeta urged legislators to support UBC to stay alive since it has assets it can use to revamp and also expand to ensure every region has access to television.
And of course they have assets. So we have also engaged the ministry. They can use some of the assets to be able to revamp. So those are some of the issues you're looking at. But the issue of now what we're talking about in terms of expanding terrestrial television, you know, UBC carries all the televisions most of the members here use. So they want to expand the network so that every region has the TV. Now that one can come from the budget support. It doesn't have to come from somewhere else. Yeah.
Nabeta expressed concern why Parliament appropriates money and Ministry of Finance does not release the funds. The Deputy Chairperson of the Budget Committee of Parliament, Wamakuyu Ignatius Mudimi, said they are to put the responses in a report which will be forwarded to government.
Report to government. If there any possibility, but we could see how to support UBC. So with that here, thanks very much for the presentation.
I'm Navka Farida and Gloria Gwitabenji in Kampala.
President Yoweri Museveni has presided over the graduation ceremony of 18 senior army officers at the National Defense College in Njeru. The president, while at the ceremony, emphasized that the security of any country must be provided by its own people because they know what hurts them when hence the need to have officers given strategic exposure to security matters.
18 brigadier generals and colonels who are pioneer students of the first intake at the National Defense College in Njeru, Wikwe district, have graduated.
I, General Retired Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, do hereby confer on you the NDC from this 18th day of January, the year of our Lord 2023.
These have completed a one-year master's equivalent course on national security and strategic studies, which was facilitated by UPDF Senior Directive Staff, Makerere University and other stakeholders.
The study covered areas on national and regional security, policy formulation, implementation and review, strategic management and research. The studies were anchored on a Pan-Africanist setting.
Because every course has got a purpose, and whereas one might be good at fighting with weapons, one still needs to be backed up and grounded in strategic thought, which this college was brought in to solve.
Graduates were urged to think of making UPDF a self-sustaining force as they await further deployment.
That this college comes now to cap the topmost tier of the joint professional military education requirements with added advantage advantages such as the reduced cost of training outside the country.
Once you happen to be deployed, wherever you are deployed, make sure that corruption, which has been a problem in the civilian sector, does not come to the army. We have had some cases where we have some cases of.
The President of the Republic of Uganda called for more training and improvement in the welfare of soldiers to have a strong force.
Otherwise, we are moving very well. There is no war we cannot fight here in our country. Any type of war, we shall fight it. We have the capacity and the motivation.
The graduates received National Defence College certificates, transcripts and badges. The National Defence College is mandated to prepare selected military officers and government officials and appropriate individuals for senior leadership and management roles. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Emyooga District.
Government, family and friends yesterday bid farewell to the late Dr. Hassan Galiwango Waswa, who died at Aga Khan Hospital in Nairobi, Kenya on the 16th of January. During the burial ceremony in Mbale District, Vice President Jessica Lupo represented President Yoweri Museveni. Now, in his eulogy, President Museveni said he received with profound sorrow the news announcing the death of the ambassador, Uganda's former High Commissioner, to Kenya and Seychelles. Now, the president said that in his capacity as Uganda's ambassador to Kenya and Seychelles, the deceased demonstrated total commitment to championing Uganda's interests abroad.
Vice President Major Retired Jessica Alupo was the chief mourner at the burial of the late Dr. Hassan Galiwango Waswa, representing His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni at Nakalok Sub-County grounds, where hundreds of mourners near and far congregated to bid farewell. In his speech read by the Vice President to the mourners who gathered in big numbers to see off their beloved one, President Museveni emphasized that Dr. Galiwango has left behind a legacy of a responsible and transformational leader, where he has left behind a society that is more transformed and empowered to attain greater posterity.
Salam alaikum. On behalf of Government of Uganda, on behalf of the NRM party and on my own behalf, I extend heartfelt sympathies and condolences to Honorable Connie Galiwango, the children of Hassan Galiwango, and the relatives of the late Dr. Hassan Galiwango, upon the loss of a dear husband and father. I commiserate with the people of Bugisu sub-region and all Ugandans upon the loss of a selfless and patriotic leader. The death of Dr. Hassan Galiwango has robbed the NRM party of a loyal cadre and mobilizer in Bugisu sub-region. He served his party and country with diligence and patriotism. In his capacity as Uganda's ambassador to Kenya and Seychelles, he demonstrated a total commitment to championing Uganda's interests abroad.
President Museveni therefore called upon everyone who associated with Galiwango to be proud of this memory and the sense of bereavement which the country is feeling now.
Dr. Galiwango has left behind a legacy of a responsible and transformational leader. The NRM defines responsible leadership as one which accurately diagnoses the challenges or bottlenecks of society and prescribes the right cure for them. Dr. Galiwango understood this fundamental principle and integrated it into his leadership style. He has left behind a society that is more transformed and empowered to attain greater prosperity. A transformed society is the only lasting tribute to a great leader. It is the testimony of a faithful servant. Therefore, we celebrate Dr. Galiwango as a mission-oriented leader, whose great talents and experience will be dearly missed.
Speaker after speaker eulogized the late Galiwango as an industrious man, pragmatic and diplomatic gentleman who has been a pillar of development across the country. Born in 1958, Dr. Galiwango started his political journey as a councillor of Namatala ward in Mbale Municipal Council. He was then appointed the RDC of Mbale district in 1999 and transferred from Mbale to Zimbabwe and later to Masindi. In 2009, he was appointed as the Director of Mobilization, Recruitment and Cadre Development of the NRM and the Director of Finance and Administration of the same party in 2011. In 2021, he was appointed as the High Commissioner of Uganda to Nairobi, Kenya, and Seychelles until his death. Eternal repose for his soul, we pray. Amen. Etole Ed Archangel, UBC News.
And the second day of the evaluation of the progress of government seed capital under the Emyooga setting in Kampala City by the resident city commissioner Amina Lukanga has continued, netting down suspects. This Wednesday, 5 SACCO leaders have been arrested in Nakasero Market on grounds of misusing the seed capital.
The evaluation and assessment of the progress of the Emyooga circles in Kampala City by the RCC Amina Lukanga has entered the second day. And this time round, the team has been in Nakasero Market, where among the 4 circles which received the government seed capital, only one can account for the resources.
But
for the rest of the 3 circles, on top of settling the seed capital, the leaders are either on the run or in hiding.
Some of them ran away. They know us coming, but we shall look for them. Of course, we shall look for them, and they'll have to answer.
Left with no option, the RCC directed the area DPC to effect arrests of the culprits, and in the end, 5 were put behind bars.
Plus him and him.
If you share money among yourselves, you're supposed to return it. It is a demand, it is a must. People need this money. So if you have shared it amongst yourselves, there is no way you think and wish people will benefit from this program.
If you're there, you've eaten people's money, trust me, I'm taking you. However, I'm encouraging the beneficiaries, the vendors, do not lose hope. This is your own program, it's your own benefit.
For some of the successful beneficiaries, this is still a drop in the ocean. The search for accountability of the Emyooga funds by the RCC will be still on for close to 1 month.
I want them to bring back the money they ate. Where did they put the money? The money there. It wasn't going to be theirs. It was for the people. People served their money, it's on record.
We thank the chairperson of the task force, Madam RCC. This is at least an addition to our work.
Robert Onyango, UBC News.
State for Information, Communications and Technology, Joyce Nabosa Sebukwawo, is certain that skilling and digital literacy will create competence among Ugandans. The minister made the remarks at the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance and ICDL Africa held in Kampala.
Improve. The world develops at a terrific speed with the new innovations and the technology revolution. and the use of digital platforms, literally known as social media and modern gadgets, have highly seen great development. However, use of the above is limited among Ugandans due to lack of adequate skilling. It's for this reason that the Ministry of Information, Communication Technology and National Guidance, in partnership with International Computer Driving License ICDL Africa, have signed a memorandum of understanding to bridge this gap. While officiating the partnership occasion, the Minister of State for Information, Communication and Technology, Joyce Nabosa Sebugwawo, elaborated about this milestone.
Very important event to witness a milestone where the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance comes together with the ICDL Africa to enhance the digital literacy of our citizens.
Sebugwawo laments that through digital literacy and skilling, competency will be created among Ugandans.
The Ministry of ICT has set one of its goals to ensure that Uganda becomes a digital enabled country, since computer skills enable people of all ages to understand and use technology to improve their personal and professional lives. Hopefully, with time, we can spread out to our education institutions, local governments, sub-counties, town councils.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, Dr. Amina Zawede, says the ministry has taken steps towards policy implementation.
We have done an assessment of the level at which Uganda is at in terms of the policies, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the digital services, the skilling and research and development you require to walk the journey of digital transformation. So when it comes to the policies, we are close to 80% or 90%.
However, Dr. Zawede called for more efforts in skilling Ugandans about digitalization.
Then with the skilling, we are not doing well. We are below 50%. Research and development is also a journey that we have to improve because we are below 50%.
The General Manager ICDL Africa, Salongo Mulisa, pledged total support to Uganda through digital literacy.
In order to get the kickstart of this MOU, ICDF Africa has committed to supporting the government of Uganda to undertake digital skills assessment across the government to ascertain the level of digital skills gap in the Ugandan workforce.
Ivan Juko, Kenneth Tanaba for UBC.
Now, businessman from Chiboga, Godfrey Setiba, is seeking justice after all avenues threatened his life. Godfrey Setiba, commonly known as Chitoke, traded in solar products until he was defrauded and his efforts to get justice frustrated.
Godfrey Setiba was a dealer in solar products and had a thriving business in Chiboga town. But a seemingly minor property dispute with a fellow businessman turned into a life-threatening ordeal.
Funamu obuzibu wakati wange ne musuubuzi munange ono yapangisa emundu.
I got a little misunderstanding with a fellow businessman who then hired a gun to kill me. He was arrested and taken to the police and charged with conspiracy to murder. After 4 months, the file could not be traced in court where it had been forwarded. The judge later informed me that the military court in Bombo had taken up the case since it involved the use of a gun. Setiba ran to the police and the suspect was arrested. But the file mysteriously went missing and the suspect was later released. Setiba was framed for the kidnap attempt of the suspect, but later the DPP dismissed the case of kidnap that had been leveled against him.
Kati ne bankwata ne bantwala ekiboga ku police. Ngenda okutuukayo nga bangamba banziguddeko omusango gwa kidnapping with madam nabadde mpambi omuntu nga mutwala kumutta.
The police then took me to Chiboga police station where I was charged with kidnap with intent to murder. In the cell, I was joined by one of his Mungu who had previously been part of a group extorting money from me in the name of following up my case. UBC reached out to the then chairperson LC5 Chiboga, Israel Yiga. He denied any involvement in Setiba's matter.
Ensonga y'omwami oyo ekituufu kiri nti byali wakati wa poliisi ne RDC ne DISO. Ffe bannabyabufuzi baabitugobamu kuba byalimu security nnyo ne tuba nga tugoberera bugoberezi generally.
Godfrey Setiba looks helpless and appeals to the government to help him access justice. Ali Kamlegea Asaba, UBC.
Non-business customer-oriented organizations are urged to pursue customer satisfaction in order to flourish. According to General Katumba Wamala, Minister of Works and Transport, organizations that go an extra mile are assured of more customers and earnings. Katumba made the appeal at an event in Nansana where Stabex International, an oil marketing company, received the International Standards Organization certificate.
The energy sector is particularly sensitive and of paramount importance, and thus nothing should be left to chance, argues General Katumba Wamala, the Minister of Works and Transport. This was observed at the International Standards Organization ISO certification event of Stabex International, a local oil marketing company.
That you took advantage of the conducive investment environment to come and invest. But as we have discussed, again, don't be comfortable yet. As you know, we have our oil industry coming up. It's just a virgin area. It's just starting. Please aim bigger. There are many opportunities down there.
According to Intertech, an ISO certifying body, quality of service has become not just a matter of routine, but a necessity if organizations have to be competitive and relevant.
We take deliberate and intentional cognizance of the need for organizations to go that particular extra mile in developing platforms and valuable substance in service and delivery.
So it's a big achievement because, for example, like in Uganda, we have only 15 companies that have ISO certification. It's not so easy.
ISO certification gives Stabex International an assailable assurance through their clients that their interests have non-negotiable priority in delivery of their services to them.
It has been a process that has involved facts based on quality, quantity, and also assurance.
At the event, General Katumba had a piece of advice for the youth in regard to humility and integrity.
Have integrity. Have humility to work. Be at point of work. Some of these virtues, some of these is what is affecting our youth. You are supposed to be on duty. When you come on duty, especially my friend, the ladies, at 8 you're in the office, you are supposed to be on duty. Then you're on WhatsApp.
ISO certifications can pay huge dividends for a business in improved efficiency, productivity, and customer satisfaction. Dennis Igoa and Juman Samba for UBC News.
Now, in mechanizing of easing movement of exportation of products, UNBS is moving towards uniform certification in the East African region to minimize the existing standards challenges. The move will see products manufactured in Uganda go through a single certification within the East African region.
Uganda National Bureau of Standards is moving towards uniform regional standardization of products in the East African region. Uganda National Bureau of Standards Executive Director David Livingstone Ebiru unveiled this during the stakeholders meeting to revise the minimum requirements for engine oil in the energy sector.
As you know, standards are developed based on consensus. So all the East African community countries with our technical committees and the national standards bodies will be in Arusha to be able to have consensus on the best standard required for East Africa, which can meet the requirements of each member state, and particularly to be able to guarantee participation of all our sectors in that sector of oil and gas business, both for imports but most importantly for locally produced products.
The move aims at ensuring smooth movement of goods and services within the East African region. UNBS has called for collective responsibility to protect consumers against counterfeit products.
So we are saying that these sectors themselves should help the Bureau in enforcing compliance of standards among their members. So they should promote self-regulation and voluntary compliance.
The crisis does not only affect motor vehicles, does not affect.
Well, that does it for news tonight. Right now we take you to Serena, Kampala, where the Uganda Cranes versus Senegal FUFA watch party is happening.
We believe it's a good opportunity for our players to be playing against some of the best players, some of the best teams on the continent. It's our objective as FUFA to try as much as possible